Thank you, Rima. A very good afternoon to all of you. And thank you, AIOS and Rima, for making me a part of this interesting session today. So I would be just sharing my own experience of having certain errors in judging non-infectious uveitis. Now let's move on to the first case, a young 34-year-old male patient with a history of injury with a fist, diminution of vision for last 1 month with pain and redness in the left eye and a vision as low as hand movements. On slit lamp examination, you had all the features suggestive like that of an endophthalmitis with congestion, AC reaction, a hypopyon, fibrin in the pupillary area, and a very faint red glow. If you see the B scan, the echoes, there was several echoes in the vitreous cavity, the retina was on, and the previous treating ophthalmologist had gone ahead and done an AC tap and sent for microbiological examination. The patient was already on these various topical medication when the patient presented to us, and also a tablet ciprofloxacin orally was being given to the patient. The microbiology report, however, was negative and the culture was still awaited. But the patient, since the patient was not responding to the treatment, the patient thought of seeking a second opinion. And after having gone through 5 days of this ongoing treatment, the patient finally presented to us. So I think the most important thing for us to is not go with the diagnosis made by another person. And it's always to start afresh with the history taking. So on re-evaluation and on history taking, we found that the patient did have a history of recurrent oral ulcers in the cheek. And before the development of the ocular symptoms, the patient also had a very vague history of joint pain with a history of headache. And when we examined the patient systemically, as even Dr. Obin was just mentioning, that you have to see the patient in total, we found that there were these healing ulcers present on the inside of the cheek area. There was a very dense vitritis with some evidence of vasculitis that you could see on the posterior pole of the retina. Fundus fluorescein angiography done in the patient put everything to rest, and you could see this typical fern pattern appearance of the vasculitis, which clinched the diagnosis. So we made a diagnosis of Behçet's disease, which was misdiagnosed as a post-traumatic endophthalmitis in this young patient. And what clinched the diagnosis in this patient was a positive history of recurrent oral ulcers and also the FFA picture of a classical fern pattern appearance of the vasculitis. The patient was put on oral and topical steroids. Cycloplegics were continued. The patient was also added with azathioprine, and the patient extremely responded very well to the treatment and did very well. So here the error was that you had diagnosed a non-infectious entity as a misdiagnosed infectious pathology, and the reason being of all the signs and symptoms which were very much suggestive of an infection following the trauma the patient had had. Moving on to my second patient, a 28 years old female patient with blurring of vision and floaters in the right eye for last 1 year. The vision was 612 N9 in the right eye. She was often on oral steroids for last 1 year for pars planitis, had already developed a complication with the ongoing steroids in the form of secondary glaucoma, being treated with 2 anti-glaucoma medications, and had turned a borderline diabetic. Now, when we did an anterior segment examination on slit lamp, you find these fine stellate granulomatous capes. There was loss of iris crypts, which is extremely important in our population, and an evidence of a posterior subcapsular cataract. When you did a fundus examination, you had a vitreous condensation with very few cells, and OCT put everything to rest. There was no evidence of any cystoid macular edema, and it was an absolutely a normal foveal contour. So here the errors in clinical judgment were that the Fuchs heterochromic uveitis had been misdiagnosed as pars planitis with secondary complications, and due to long-term steroids, glaucoma and diabetes had already developed because of the ongoing corticosteroids for last 1 year. This is the most underdiagnosed non-infectious uveitic entity, and what clinched the diagnosis was the loss of iris crypts, which you often find in Indian population, unlike the heterochromia, what you see in Western population. absence of cystoid macular edema on OCT, which again is a very important feature for pars planitis, and absence of posterior synechia, again found in 95% of the patients of pars planitis. So here the error was that you had diagnosed one non-infectious entity as another non-infectious entity, which apparently did not require steroids, and the patient already was suffering from all kinds of complications secondary to the long-term steroids in the form of diabetes and glaucoma. My last patient is a 23 years old boy, bilateral diminution of vision for last 1.5 months, history of penetrating injury to the right eye with an iron rod 3 months back, and a scleral tear repair with a VR surgery involving foreign body removal and a silicone oil injection. The vision was very low in both the eyes, and the patient had been diagnosed as a tubercular uveitis in the left eye somewhere else. The patient had already been started on ATT and steroids for last 1 month. There was a history of contact with his brother who had been diagnosed with pulmonary TB. The Mantoux was also borderline high. When we did a slit lamp examination, the right eye showed an AC reaction with aphakia and with an inferior PI, secondary to the VR surgery that had been performed in the past. When we examined the left eye, there were frank mutton fat KPs with AC reaction and very few cells in the anterior vitreous. We did a fundus examination of the left eye, which showed an extensive vitritis with an exudative retinal detachment and query a yellowish deep-seated lesion suggestive of probably a choroidal granuloma, which confused the previous treating ophthalmologist. The right eye, of course, showed a well-attached retina with silicone oil in situ. Now, what was interesting in this patient was that there was a history of deafness in this patient, and when we referred this patient to our ENT department, they actually confirmed that the patient was having a neurosensory deafness. So, revising our diagnosis and treating the patient accordingly, we diagnosed the patient suffering from sympathetic ophthalmia, which had been misdiagnosed elsewhere as a tubercular granulomatous uveitis with exudative detachment. Subsequently, we stopped ATT, we put the patient on IVMP, followed by oral steroids and oral azathioprine. And you see the timeline of this patient. At presentation, he had extensive vitritis, exudative RD, with a vision as low as counting fingers. 2 months subsequent to the treatment being given by us, the vision had improved to 636/69. The disc was still hyperemic. There was an inferior retinal detachment with attached macula. And 15 months later, the patient had a typical sunset glow fundus, and the vision had dropped marginally to 612. The reading vision had dropped, but still the patient continued having a useful vision. Now, if you see the change in the level of the deafness, it was initially 60 decibels, which was extremely high. And now after the treatment, even the neurosensory deafness had improved to a loss of only 20 decibels. So sympathetic ophthalmia had been misdiagnosed as tubercular granulomatous uveitis with exudative detachment, query granuloma.
All of in this discussion, at least with me, तुम्हें जिसके साथ जो discuss करना है तुम करो.
Why was
discussion with me at least?
Why was this misdiagnosis made? It was because of the history of contact with
my
your brother.
God, right. Okay, fine. मैंने तुम्हारा stand लिया. मेरा काम था तुमको आके बताना. मेरा काम था उस पार्टी में नहीं जाना.
Can I please request everybody to mute their mics?
जब तुझे बाद में तू वापस मेरे को आके बोलता.
Mic is on.
The point here is कि तू मेरे को वापस आके बोलता कि you know मेरे friends से तू बात कर रही है. इसने मेरे को पहले ही बोल दिया था कि तुम.
So there was a history of contact. The Mantoux was positive, and the patient was having a granulomatous uveitis. But what clinched the diagnosis in this patient was the history of penetrating injury in the right eye, history of a surgical intervention done, the retrolental cells with the granulomatous uveitis in the other eye, and last but not the least, the neurosensory deafness. And we apparently published this case because it was a learning for us that sympathetic ophthalmia can also present with a neurosensory deafness, which was actually a rare presentation. So I would just conclude by saying that whenever a patient is not responding to treatment, start afresh, right from taking the history again. Give the patient a very patient hearing, and many a times the patient himself may be telling you his or her own diagnosis. We should not fall in love with our own diagnosis, and we should always be open to revise your or someone else's diagnosis. Don't get carried away by the investigations, as they just add to your clinical diagnosis, but you can't base your entire judgment on the lab investigations. And a good clinician corrects the mistake on time before it is too late. Thank you so much.